We're live? All right, welcome to the Lions pregame show. Kind of a weird day because it's the last Lions pregame show of the season. We started on my couch, now we here. It's kind of how I feel about it. It's been a weird season for Woodward Sports. I mean,
we've come a long way, man.
Anson, this started with me and you just sitting on my couch doing some Lions pregames, trying to give away T-shirts that we could never do. And then we finally upped it to giving away $1,000, and we gave away $3,000.
Yeah, we gave away some of that.
$3,000, and we want to do that again today. So if you're interested in winning $1,000 right now, it's real simple. Guess who's going to score the first touchdown in the Lions game? Guess the final score of the Lions game, and make sure you share this post, whether you're watching us on Twitter right now, YouTube, or you're checking us out on Facebook. We're on lots of platforms now, Anson.
No doubt, pretty much all of them.
All of them. So make sure you're getting in those shares right now so we can get you that money. And let's have a good pregame show. It's our last one of the season, guys.
It is, huh?
It's depressing.
It is depressing.
It is a little depressing.
I already miss football and the season's not even over.
We were talking about that this morning. Like,
God.
How sad is it that this is the last Lions game of the season, man?
It's really not that sad. It's kind of putting them out of their misery a little bit.
On,
this has been a tough season to be a Lions fan. Come on, let's be honest.
It's been a tough season for like 20, 25 years.
True.
I mean, are you really going to sit here and say you're happy that football's over for the Detroit
Lions? Oh,
Lions?
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's kind of an out of misery. Did you have higher hopes than what they did to start the season? Because I did.
Yes, I had more expectations out of the team, but that doesn't mean I'm excited that we went to shit and now the season's
I'm
over.
not excited about it either. It's kind of a put them out of their misery type of deal. You know, the playoffs couldn't come soon enough, man, for me at least.
Oh, no, they could have happened 5 years from now.
With us in them.
The Lions definitely need some growth in this offseason, and it's been a weird season. We had some hope early. Mm-hmm. We did not have hope late, and we're left hopeless now. Yeah, when we were like 3-3, there was some. There was
the season
hope.
was over after the Chicago
There was
game.
hope.
There was even a glimmer of hope when we changed regimes as well.
Right.
But that was gone
you
pretty
guys were
quick.
just delusional.
Delusion is probably the better word.
Delusion for sure.
No, hope. It's hope.
Hope
man.
and delusion
hope,
are
it's delusion.
often confused, though.
Well, we got the Lions playing the Vikings today. It's the last game of the season, and both these teams are playing for the right to call themselves the worst team in the NFC North, baby.
Yeah. Pretty bad title, man.
Yeah. So with that being said, though, would you rather be the Lions or the Vikings right now? Because the Vikings, to me, had higher expectations going into this year than the Lions. I know we had a win now initiative, but everybody who knew what was going on probably knew that we weren't going to win now. And when you see the Vikings, they still have their full roster. They still have their Dalvin Cook. They still have Kirk Cousins. They still have all those guys. And they still didn't do shit.
No, they didn't. I was expecting more out of them the last few seasons.
Right.
In terms of what their hopes were as a Vikings fan, I'd be pretty let down right now. They do have a great rookie that they pulled, but I kind of would be more excited to be a Lions fan at this point. Just because the Lions are going to remake their team. I think the Vikings are going to come back very similar next season.
Do you think they're
The Vikings
committed?
are a quarterback away, and DeAndre Hunter being healthy, and maybe a piece on defense from contending for the
They
division.
have a lot invested in their quarterback right now.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So they're a quarterback
if they
away,
can
but
move
they're a
on-
long way from getting that quarterback.
Well, he's got, a year and a half, 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, Kirk Cousins made Forbes' highest paid athletes in the
Crazy.
world at number 9, right above Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Like,
it was the
fact
second
that those two are on
highest
the
paid
list.
You want to
American,
talk
right?
about spending like crazy money on people that aren't paying off? Those are your guys right there. So I would rather be the Lions right now than the Vikings because I'm kind of with Anson on this. I feel like the Vikings, they're on their path, but they're kind of plateauing. At least us, we're kind of like the Pistons are right now. We're tearing down to build up. And I see us launching forward faster than the Vikings are. The Vikings have more weapons, and they're about to have the same record.
Look, the Vikings have a core of Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen.
Right.
I don't like their
And still
quarterback,
didn't do
and they have
shit.
a decent. Their defense has been riddled by injuries. I mean, they have a way better defense than what they've shown this year. Their best player is out. So hopefully when DeAndre Hunter comes back next year, I think next season you got to be more optimistic for the Vikings.
For sure.
If you're asking a 3 to 5 year plan, obviously I'd rather be with Detroit because we're already at the ground. It's only up from here.
That's kind of what I'm asking.
I agree with you. I think the Vikings can be a 10-win team next year.
Easily.
No doubt.
They should have been a 10-win team this
I
season.
agree.
They
That's
lost
what I'm
DeAndre
saying.
Hunter. They lost their edge rushers.
That's one person, though. He can't take down the entire team.
They should have won 9 games for
They
sure.
were a top 12 defense last year. They're bottom of the league right now.
Yeah.
There's a big reason why they're not winning football games. As much as I don't like Kirk Cousins, he's not the only reason.
I mean, there was a time this season where we thought, the Bears were going here and the Vikings were going here.
And it was for a stretch.
And it was, but then the Bears completely corrected and the Vikings completely went to shit.
Well, you can only play above what your team's limitations are for so long, and that's what we saw with the Vikings. And the Bears could only lose for so long. I mean, that was ridiculous in itself.
Both teams were a surprise to me this season.
Yeah.
So here's
I thought
the
they
deal.
would have swapped roles,
Here's the deal. Matthew Stafford is playing today.
He is.
My interpretation of that, and this may be off base, but my interpretation of that is this is his last game as a Detroit Lion. Because I don't see him putting himself out there or the organization putting him out there unless they know that this is kind of his swan song. So do you guys feel that this is Matthew Stafford's last game in a Lions uniform, or do you feel that the new GM is going to hang on to him?
You honestly changed my whole opinion coming in today just with that comment.
Okay.
Because I'm wondering why the hell are we playing this guy? He's probably one of our best assets that we have as a football team.
Right.
Obviously, there's a lot of question marks of what we're going to do with him in this offseason, but he's coming in with 3 injuries. So what, we get in 6 wins instead of 5? He has a huge game. It's not going to change his value to other teams. Why are we bringing him into play today? And you just kind of shed some light on it. This might be really the swan song.
That's what really scares me about this. And, obviously, I haven't been the biggest Matthew Stafford champion his entire time here. I've always thought he was a good quarterback. I never thought he was going to be our savior, which everybody thought he was going to be, which is fine. It's good to have hope. I'm sometimes a stupidly optimistic, delusional fan. Yes, I can be that. I'm a fan. That's short for fanatic. So I don't hide from that at all.
No.
But this is really a strange game for me because as much as I didn't think Stafford was going to be a world beater while he's here, he's the best we ever had, and we may never see him again.
Wow. That's a deep cut, man, because we could be another 20 years of just middling, terrible quarterbacks.
And that's kind of what scares the shit out of me. It really is. It really is. I mean, I'm going and I'm looking at our all-time passing leaders for the Detroit Lions, right? You go pull up these stats, and I just wanted to run some of these by you. I didn't prep anybody for this, but who do you think? So Matthew Stafford's number 1 in every category. Let's just say that. Number 1 in every category. I'm talking games played, I'm talking yards, I'm talking pass attempts, I'm talking yards per pass attempt, completion percentage, QBR, everything he's number 1 is. But when you get past number 1 is when this gets scary. Who do you think the number 2 all-time quarterback in Lions passing history is?
I'm going to say either Scott Mitchell or
C-Batch.
Joey Harrington, baby!
Really?
Joey just loves it because he got the same name, baby.
Yeah, I got a signed jersey at home.
So here's how bad it is, right? Bobby Lane is still number 2
Wow.
at 15,000 yards. Stafford has almost 45,000 yards. That's 30,000 difference between 1 and 2.
Dude, it was barely legal to even throw the ball back when Lane was playing.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways to take that. One, Stafford's playing in a very pass-friendly league right now.
Yeah, okay.
Longevity plays a key factor into that.
doubt.
Yes, 100%.
Back in the day when Scott Mitchell's era, he had Barry Sanders behind him.
Yep.
They weren't throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game. So
it's a good point.
I don't look at that as the. I don't know. I don't think
The
it's as bad.
drop-off's just so crazy.
But the drop-off
Bobby
is
Lane's from the 50s.
But it's a consequence of time, man. Like. From the 60s on, somebody should have passed Bobby Lane, but that just shows how off the team was.
That's what I'm saying.
But that was still a run-heavy league at the time. You go in even with Scott Mitchell, Barry Sanders, all through the late 80s and all the 90s. Now, in the early 2000s, you go through Kitna, Harrington, all these bum quarterbacks, right? And then you finally get to Matthew Stafford in 2009, and here we are in 2021. And he's still around, and he's still throwing the ball, and it's a very, very pass-friendly league. DBs can't put their hands on the receivers like they used to. Totally different era. I don't think that's a knock on on the Lions quarterback history, really.
To me, it's not a knock on it, but just the variance is so crazy. Like, you can look at every other team, and it's maybe a couple thousand yards here, a couple thousand yards.
I don't think so. I think
ours are just insane. Like, Scott Mitchell's at number 3 with 12,000 yards. And here we go, passing TDs. How many TDs do you think, like, Stafford has 279 in his career?
I think the closest maybe 97.
The next closest, once again, Bobby Lane with 118. And then after that, we're talking 80 with Greg Landry.
I think this applies to
Landry.
way more teams than you're
We're
giving.
throwing back to the 60s with this.
I think this applies to way more teams. I bet you any money this applies to the Patriots, even to the Packers to an extent, other than Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, fine.
Cardinals for
I
sure.
think it applies more than just the Lions.
Let's throw away
But-
stats. Let's go QBR, because that really has nothing to do with volume, right?
Sure.
That is just
That's
efficiency.
just overall performance over a given period of time.
Stafford is right now sitting at 89.8 on his QBR for his
Respectable.
career, which is respectable.
Wait, QBR based on what? The ESPN stat or passer rating? Which one
It
are we doing?
just says his rating.
Passer rating.
Passer
That's not
rating.
QBR.
For
Yeah,
quarterback
big
rating.
difference.
My fault.
Because if he had
Quarterback
89 QBR, holy shit, that means he was amazing.
But who do you think is close to him?
I say 72, Scott Mitchell or Bobby Lane. One of the
we
two.
have nobody else in the 70s. Scott Mitchell, actually, I take that back. Scott Mitchell at 79.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that is
No,
the
that's
closest
horrible,
one. That's the closest one. So this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around, right? Like, I grew up with the Mike McMahon era. I grew up with Joey Harrington. I grew up with John Kitna.
Rodney Peete.
I saw Scott Mitchell. I saw them draft Andre Ware. Like, I've been around for all this shit. Where do they go if Stafford isn't our quarterback?
This is a careful what you wish for moment.
Yes.
There's so many people in Detroit that have been screaming to get a new quarterback in here, and man, you kind of scared me. What if we have another 20 years of Mike McMahon's? It's totally possible.
Look,
it really is.
We've seen it. It's definitely
Now,
possible.
the one thing that gives me confidence is the influx of arms that have and legs that have been coming into the leagues. There's some great young quarterbacks, and there's some great young quarterbacks coming out of college, but it's a scary thing, man, especially with the track record the Lions have.
Again, this is where you look back and you put blame on the organization and really the GM at the time, who was Bob Quinn. You were forcing a team that really didn't show any signs of being a playoff contender, but you stuck out your own word and you shot yourself in the foot and said, we need to be better than 9-7. Totally set this team up for failure. And then it really put Bob Quinn under pressure where I need to draft a cornerback because I don't have any. Instead of trading back, drafting maybe a Tua or a Herbert. I don't care who, honestly. It happened, it's over.
But how
I'm just
nice would
saying
it be to have Herbert on the bench right now?
Not having that foresight, knowing Matthew Stafford is entering his last 3 to 4 seasons, like now, in my opinion, they're stuck with Stafford. It's got to be a transition. If you trade him, you're really betting your bets on nailing your quarterback this year or next year, and I don't think we hit on the quarterback this year.
And that's what's scary. I don't see us hitting the guy out of the park for the next 2-3 years. Like, whoever comes in is going to have to learn the system. There's going to be a learning curve.
Yep.
So, honestly, like, if this is Matthew Stafford's last game, Detroit Lions fans, sit back, relax. It's a meaningless game, but just enjoy Stafford playing ball in the Honolulu.
It shouldn't be his last game unless
my
they
question,
have a plan for it.
My question for that, though, is as a responsible franchise, are you playing him for the fans or are you risking him for the franchise? Because you got to choose one or the other here.
I think this is more of a Stafford call than anything. Like, who in that organization is going to tell him not to play?
Me. Anybody, man. I mean, this is our most important asset right now going into next season, and it's like, you can't risk any of this. There's absolutely nothing that comes out of this productive. He can go up for 450 yards and get the win, and that does nothing for us. He gets injured. There's a lot of other possibilities here. I don't understand this move aside from the swan song.
Yeah, the risk does not outweigh the reward, and that's why that's the only thing logically I can think of is, oh shit, Stafford knows. Stafford knows, the ownership knows, and it's like, you know what? Let's give this guy one more run. Let him go out there, play with the Lions one more time, and do his thing. I don't want to see that. Like, I want to see him come back for 2 more years and help grow the next quarterback.
Yeah.
But, you got to win ball games at some point, and we need assets. And so if trading him gets us those assets, it's really, really, really weird right now.
Yeah, I would sit him, man. Although at the same point, man, I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. No, I want to see him ball out. I want to see Stafford ball out. What are you shaking your head at, Adam? What are you shaking your head at?
You guys make no sense.
Why?
Because, how are you looking forward to seeing 2 things? One, him performing or balling out, not only a meaningless game, but in a game that the risk totally out.
Because it may be my last memory of him, that's why. I don't want my last memory of him being carted off.
See,
or limping
so
off
why
with
the
an
hell is he on
ankle.
the field?
And see, I'm agreeing with both of you guys because the fan in me is going with Stick.
Yeah.
But the GM in me is going with Adam because
This is not. It can't be a swan song goodbye. This can't be his last game. Who is he
How do
handing?
you know that?
Who is he handing the baton to? There is nobody waiting. That is the
Phil
problem.
Rivers,
There
baby.
is no way. There is no way they're actually letting Stafford go unless they take a quarterback this year in the draft. There's
Which
no
they're
fucking,
gonna. They
you
have
don't
to.
know- No,
I disagree
they
with
can't.
that.
They can't at number 7.
I don't think they should.
Who are they going to take?
Well, we're going to get
Travis?
into that. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But before we get into who they're going to draft, so we got to address one more big key player that's on the roster that we don't know if they're ever going to play for the Lions again, and that's Kenny Golladay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know his injury. I don't know the depth of it, but I feel like he's kind of played this injury kind of like Kawhi back in the day for the San Antonio Spurs. Like, listen, we ain't going anywhere. I ain't putting myself in harm's way. I need to get that cheddar.
Dude, we got Kawhi and Grant Hill on our team right now.
There
We got
we
a guy
go.
who's injured who shouldn't be playing, and we got a guy who should be out there, lining up next to his teammates who's taking the time off to make sure he gets his paycheck next year.
Cam Newton hitting free agency. How about him for the next Detroit quarterback?
No, thank you.
Nope.
No, but what do you think about Golladay? Do you think that's a necessity that the Lions need to re-sign moving
Bye-bye.
forward? Bye? Mm-hmm. You're done with them, just
Yeah.
like that.
In general, or there's no. So
No. That's a good question. If the contract is decent, sure.
So
but
what's your definition of a decent contract? I can give you mine real quick if you want.
I'd like to hear
I think
yours.
if you sign him between 12.5 and 13.5 million, and you give him probably 40 guaranteed, I think that's fair. I think he is a 1, but he's missed 10 games this season. He's had injury problems in the past. Granted, he played a full season last year, 11 touchdowns, but nowhere near worthy of a 15, 16,
and
17
that's where I
million
think
dollar
he's coming in.
contract.
That's
Well, if he wants that, he can leave. Same with Dak Prescott. I'm not paying Dak Prescott
12
$40 million
million
to be
I'll
my
pay him.
There's
quarterback.
a
For sure.
name. There's a name. What about Dak Prescott?
I'm
as
not
a
paying
Lion?
Dak Prescott $40 million to be my quarterback.
I don't think he's going to demand that anymore.
He can't.
After,
He can't coming off of that, do you think?
He literally lost all his leverage on his ankle.
Yeah.
He
You never
can't. You can't ask
I
that
don't think
for.
he leaves though.
You can if you're a brand new pristine car, which he was. He was a shiny Corvette. Now he's like a vet that's
He was
got
a
some
Corvette.
Carfax on his.
But dude,
No,
if
he
you
was a Fiat, and the team around him.
That was like a top
He was
three
not-
quarterback before he got hurt.
oh my God!
Statistically.
He threw up
Statistically.
the most yards in garbage time. The same thing we do to not Kirk Cousins. We praise fucking Dak Prescott for. Please save that bullshit for me. That 13-3 team his rookie year. Unbelievable. The best offensive line, the best running game. He had everything you could ever want, and they were actually pretty decent on defense. So I don't want to hear that shit. They've regressed every year since. Don't even say that.
So
He's a
you
top
don't
3
want
quarterback.
Dak in a Detroit Lion
Not for
uniform.
40 million. I'll take it for 25, 27.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in for
good
that.
with
I'm in for that.
I'm good
That's
with
a
that.
bargain.
Yeah, I think the big thing about Dak that you have to, he's not the top 3, top 4
You don't want
quarterback
Kirk
in my
Cousins
opinion.
in.
But look what happened to Dallas when he went out. I don't see Dallas letting him go at this point.
Okay, okay. Look, so I don't want to come off as not sensitive towards Dak Prescott's injury, but they were fucking.
gives a shit?
They
He
were
broke
0
his
they were
ankle. It was a
0
hard
Those
break.
shit cans were 0-3 before he got hurt.
Yeah.
All right, they were gonna be shit the whole season with or without Dak Prescott. He was putting up garbage time numbers. They actually won a game they probably shouldn't have. I believe they were 1-4 at the time. Maybe he got hurt. Like, no, don't give me that shit. He's basically a better version of Kirk Cousins if you sign him to the contract that he's demanding. If you can get him at 28, 29 million, you can build a team around him. But
I
there's
have
no
a rough
fucking
time calling Dak Prescott Kirk Cousins.
That's exactly
I
what
really
his career
do.
has played out to
I
be
really
so
do.
far.
Dak's-
8-8, 7-9.
I would rather have Dak than Kirk all day.
That's not what I'm saying. But they're basically the same quarterback.
I would rather have
Basically-
Dak than Kirk all day.
Of course, but that
At
doesn't
the
mean
same
anything.
age, though, I feel as the
Kirk
two
Cousins
quarterbacks
has
are
won
very
playoff
similar.
Games.
Yeah.
So is Dak Prescott. Kirk Cousins has won divisions. So is Dak Prescott.
How would you-
We're
Kirk
not getting-
Cousins won the NFC East, though.
So is Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. That's not
Okay,
what I'm
good.
getting at.
Then we're
what I'm
on
saying
the
is if
same
you
page
pay him
then.
$40 million, he's fucking Kirk Cousins.
How would
You're
you
overpaying.
How would you feel about Cousins in the Lions uniform
Fuck
next
no.
year?
Oh, God, no.
I know. I'm sorry, Spartan, but no.
How you like that? That's what I'd say. How you like that?
No,
God,
thank
I would be
you.
waiting at the airport with a baseball bat if we fucking signed Kirk
Tanya
Cousins.
Harding his ass right before he
Dude,
gets to
get
Ford
that
Field.
shit. Before he gets to Ford Field, before he gets on the goddamn plane.
So you don't want to re-sign Golladay.
For the right price.
For the right
Anywhere
price,
from
I would.
12 to 13 and a half, but I think he's important
He's
to
not.
the team.
Yeah, he's not our number one target to
I don't
keep.
think he's
He
going to
is.
process
You think so?
himself
He's
as...
our one. He's our one. Do you think he's a one?
I think he's
On our team?
clearly a one.
But I'm saying, do you think he's our most important player to try and retain?
Yes. If
Yeah?
you get him for the right deal.
For the right
Again,
deal.
If you're trying to pay Michael Thomas money, please just move on and go get some edge rushers in the offseason. Maybe.
I'm just
Right.
worried about a Marvin Jones type of contract.
But do you
know?
think Kenny
an
Golladay
overpaid
Kenny
to
Golladay
keep?
is deserving of
do you
Marvin
think he
Jones'
perceives
contract.
himself as a $13 million guy
No, I think
or
he
a
sees
20?
himself at 18, and that's the problem.
And that's
16 at least.
That's
Dak
the
Prescott
thing.
thinks he's a Ferrari. He's probably a Ford Expedition. I don't know.
The Fiat.
He's a fiat, he says. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Golladay is a big piece of the offense, but if we don't have a quarterback and we don't have that part right, I'm not worried about the wide receivers right now at this point. I like what Marvin Jones does when he is the number one guy. We talked about this early in the season. Jones as a 2, not a great number 2.
No, he's really
but
not.
you put him as the
Not
1,
game-changing.
he's productive.
No.
He's productive, but he's not game-changing. Kenny Golladay as a 1 is game-changing.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good wide receiver. Look at the Los Angeles Chargers with Keenan Allen. They had every reason not to pay him. They had Eckler. They had a lot of
Mike
going on.
Williams.
They bring in Justin Herbert. Granted, it was a weird situation why he got the job, but he comes in and look what he has.
Right.
You don't want to bring in a rookie quarterback.
That's a good point.
2 seasons from now, and Danny Amendola is the fucking 1. So
No, if
careful,
that
that's
happens,
all.
See, I like the
don't
2
mind
seasons from
Golladay,
now. I
again,
like
but it
that.
has to be reasonable. I think give him the guaranteed money, but it's got to be a $13, $14 million contract at most.
So if they don't
At most.
sign Golladay, one of the guys I keep seeing fall into the Lions in mock drafts is Devontae Smith, the wide receiver from Alabama. Do you see the Lions taking a wide receiver at number 7 if Golladay moves on?
Not if we hire well.
Okay.
I mean, we can't take another skilled position player in the top
I
10
don't
like
think
that.
that's fair to say. That you're thinking 10 years ago when we took Rodgers.
I'm
and
thinking
all the whole
Hawkinson
Roy
a couple
Williams.
years ago.
Rodgers, Roy,
No,
Calvin,
look,
Titus
hear
Young.
me out. I get what you're saying, but last year we made a big mistake. We took a cornerback at 3. That alone set the franchise 2 years back. I think at 7, you're not taking Trask. I don't think Fields is on the board by the time you get to 7. So we're not taking Trask. We're not taking Zach Wilson. He's not a fucking first-round pick, and fuck whoever thinks he is.
It's so hilarious. I'll tell you, here's what I love about this. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, go ahead,
All right.
go ahead.
So about a month ago, Adam's like, you know who I'm really high on? If the Lions could get him in the 2nd and 3rd round, is this,
Third or fourth is what I
he's
said,
like
yeah.
this kid from BYU. I really like him at quarterback.
Yeah, he's a
and
player.
since then, holy shit, the world has been on fire for Zach Wilson, and he's moved ahead. Of
Justin
Fields.
It makes no
They're
sense.
thinking he's going to be a top 5 pick now, and it's driving Adam insane because he had him evaluated as a 3rd-round talent. Now he's going to be a top 5 pick.
But if you want to push and get him in the 2nd round, I'm not going to knock you for it. Whatever franchise does take him in the 1st round, you're going to be on my shit list for a long time.
Teams are going to be desperate to land the next Herbert.
But that's the
you know what I'm
problem.
saying?
Look at the
People are
Bears.
going to reach.
But look at the Bears. They traded up and they got
bitch.
Trubisky. But the Bills, though, vice versa, did the same thing, and they ended up with Josh Allen. You got to hit on if you're going to make that bold decision.
Right.
I don't think at 7 the line should be taking a quarterback unless Justin Fields is available. Trevor Lawrence isn't going to be there, so unless it's Justin Fields, you got to get an offensive lineman, or you got to trade for draft capital, or you get an edge rusher.
Yep.
If you want to get Devontae Smith, I don't mind. I think he's a beast.
He is.
He's really great. I don't think you miss drafting on him, but you got to hit on the 2nd and 3rd round picks.
No.
Now you add more pressure to your draft if you go wide receiver, because now that O-lineman has to be taken, that edge rusher has to be taken, and it has to hit.
Devontae is the only offensive player in the top 10 that I'd be comfortable with us taking. I don't think that we take a quarterback at all. What are we going to do? We don't have the offensive line to protect him. We don't have the defense to.
You sit him.
But I get that, but now we're just losing a complete year, maybe 2 years of that rookie contract when we've seen throughout the NFL that these rookies are capable of coming in and winning year 1.
I don't think that's really the case. Andrew Luck really was only capable of winning year 1. Herbert
but they're not in the
winning year
playoffs.
Burrow
1.
look good. Tua's look good.
They look good. They're not winning. They're not instantly changing. Now, granted, Burrow and Herbert are different levels. Tua's getting carried by that Miami defense, but beyond the point, you're risking it when you say that. Do we need to take a quarterback this year? I don't think so, but it would be helpful.
So if we don't take a quarterback this year, what the hell are the Lions going to do moving forward?
Again, Stafford has 2.5 years left on his
Or
contract.
Chase Daniel.
No.
The Chase Daniel thing, not to sidebar this, that shit drives me insane. We go out, we pay this guy more than damn near any other backup in the league. When Jameis Winston, you could give $1 million to, and he's going to be your fucking backup. And then, once Stafford gets hurt, what do? We see what Blau is capable of, not what Daniel. So we hired this guy to be the backup, and then when it comes time to be the backup, we don't use him as the backup.
That's just being a mess.
Then what the
on and off the
fuck,
field.
man?
But look, what I'm trying to address.
It blew my mind. It's like, we want to see what Blau can do. It's like, wait, isn't this the highest paid backup in the league? Let him win some games.
Did not make any sense.
What I'm trying to address with Anson is I think we do need to take a quarterback. I don't think at 7 you're going to take a cornerback that's going to change your franchise, is what I'm saying.
I think if Justin Fields is there, you have to take him.
Justin Fields is the only exception.
You have to take him.
Cal Trask should not be drafted. Zach Wilson.
Kyle Trash?
Kyle Trash.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson should not be drafted in the top 10. The North Dakota State quarterback should not be drafted in the top 10.
I agree.
Even Mac Jones, not a fucking top 15 pick.
Having said that, maybe him in the third or
second. In the second or third round.
What do you think about Mac
okay
Jones? I just don't like he doesn't have mobility. That's what
but I don't think I don't think he'll die. I think he's more athletic. I don't think he's.
I would love to see the Lions not take a quarterback this year at all. Completely invest in the offensive line and the defensive side.
You're risking it. I'll tell you why. You're risking it because Matthew Stafford, again, I think he should ride out with Detroit and leave and hand the baton in 2-3 seasons. Having said that, if you pass on a quarterback this year in the second or third round that ends up being very good, you just keep setting you have to draft a quarterback. I don't care in the first or the fifth round. You got to take a quarterback and just see what they are.
So why don't you think we should draft a quarterback?
I've watched around the NFL where these teams end up with very poor defenses and they're constantly behind, or an offensive line that can't protect their quarterback, and it zaps that confidence in the first couple of years while they're not even playing half the time. The Lions are woefully behind in terms of talent, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball.
Defensively, especially.
So let's say we do draft a guy this year, and at the end of
what round? That's what.
Our first round.
No, so I agree with you. It should not be in the first round unless it's Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But anywhere after that, look at Bill Belichick. He made a living on draft capital, drafting quarterbacks in the third and fourth.
There's
round.
no Bill Belichick here, though. That's my concern.
I understand, but the philosophy is there.
We should try the Patriot way, though. I think that would be great for us.
No. Hear me out. It's not about being a Patriot way. What you're doing is you're taking a quarterback in the third or fourth, fifth round who has zero expectations. If they show any side of promise, there's a team in the league that's willing to jump on it.
I just don't like that, man. I don't like waiting on drafting a quarterback. We fucked up this year by not doing it. If we don't get a good one this year and hit it out of the park, like you said, we're putting ourselves 5 years behind the 8 ball because we don't know what Stafford's going to be. The last 2 seasons, even if Stafford is coming back, he hasn't been able to stay on the field enough to be his most effective self. So we have to take a quarterback. To me, our first overall pick this year has to be a quarterback.
See, I agree to an extent, and that's where I think we disagree a lot, actually, is I don't think we have to take a quarterback in the first round unless it's Justin Fields is on the board. If Justin Fields is on the board, you have to fucking pull the trigger.
That's the only guy I can see.
That's the only guy I am comfortable with pulling the trigger that early in the draft. Now, if you want to trade back to 17 or whatever the hell you want to do and get some capital and trade for get a quarterback in the second round, whatever, but I'm not going to love a quarterback pick in the top 10 unless it's Justin Fields.
Make sure you guess who's going to score the first touchdown today. Make sure you guess the final score of the Lions-Viking games and share this post on whatever platform you're watching on it right now, which reminds me, I better hit the retweet button on this. And shout out to everybody watching us on Twitter
right now. Can I ask you a question,
Anson? Yeah, you guys talk real quick.
All right, Anson, so here's my question for you. Let's say, realistically, Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence shouldn't be on the board by the time the Lions draft this season.
And let's say we're picking 7.
Let's say we're picking 6, 7, whatever it ends up being. Unless it's Devontae Smith, I'd rather take an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. What are you comfortable taking with that pick if it's not Justin Fields?
Exactly what you just said, to be quite honest with you. How do you guys like the Colts this year?
I love them.
They're a great team.
I think that what we can do next year, or even the next 2, if we're assuming we're able to move Stafford.
The blueprint you're talking about? Of how they built their roster and
build the line.
And just put in an old man that is capable. You know what I'm saying?
Old man.
But if you're trying trying to win seriously, Phillip Rivers is not going to win you shit. But the Colts put themselves in a position, though, where they can go for a Stafford.
Well, they got Jacob Eason.
That's what I'm talking about.
They got Jacob Eason riding the pine. I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback.
We don't know that. We don't see his
that's kind of,
practice.
they're following your formula, though.
Yeah.
They took the guy in, what, the third, fourth round?
Yeah.
So, but in 50
and now
years,
he's there.
In 50 years, we've seen our team only be able to pick a good quarterback at the number 1 pick. If we pick anywhere after that, they're going to fail, correct? So for me, I don't have the faith in the Lions organization currently to get a good guy in the second, third, fourth round. I would much rather go and stack up, safeties and linemen and defensive tackles. And then next year, we're still not going to be that great. We still should be picking in the top 15. And at that point, I would start looking at a quarterback. But at the same point, there's going to be guys like Stafford that are going to be changing teams every year. I just think I would rather roll the dice with a consistent veteran.
What do you think about a Tyrod Taylor? Somebody seriously, I mean, because we're not going to be able to bring in a supreme talent, so we're going to be stuck around that Teddy Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor-esque range.
I'd be happy with Bridgewater here.
I kind of agree.
Would you? Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
So I kind of agree with the model of stacking the roster, but we need to understand if we get rid of Stafford, it's going to be a huge hit against the cap.
Yeah.
And I think if you're
I think
the
it's
next
like $30
GM,
million, then
and
$27 million.
Please, Detroit, give us Ed Dodds or Mike Borgonzi, please, or even John Schneider. I liked Corey's article.
Schneider.
Well,
That'd be
it's
great.
funny that you bring that up, Adam. We were just about to transition into who the next Detroit Lions head coach could be. There's been rumors. Urban Meyer last week was kind of the hot name.
Yeah.
But now the rumors are he's looking at the Jags. That's the hot buzz with that. And the Lions brought in Marvin Jones as Marvin Lewis as an interview.
Yep.
What was it, 2 days ago?
Yep.
First of all, what do you think of Marvin Lewis? Do you think he should be the next head coach of the Detroit Lions?
No, fuck no, please, fuck no,
Could you imagine?
No.
Could you imagine your resume saying the Bengals and the Lions?
Ooh,
That's tough, man.
I feel bad for
And that's not disrespectful towards Marvin Jones. He did a
I got a
good
question
job.
about Myers.
I'm sorry. See, you got me confused.
I got
now.
you fucked up.
So,
man.
Marvin Lewis in his time with the Bengals had no free agency flexibility. They were a very cheap franchise.
Yeah.
He did okay in the draft. They built some playoff teams.
Yeah.
Never won playoff games, but you know what? He did a very good job. Having said that, not for the Lions.
I don't think so either. I am a fan of Marvin Lewis, but now my question is if Myers had come in here, would half of Michigan have a problem with him as the Lions coach?
No.
No.
I mean, I
Football's
root for
separate
Taylor
college.
Decker.
I would sure hope not,
I root
man.
for Taylor Decker, and he's got that stupid fucking Buckeye
No,
tattoo.
you got to rip off the pride when you get to
I
the
agree.
professional
That's
level.
exactly.
I don't think Urban Meyer's coaching ever again in in college, let alone the NFL.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he'd be an interesting spot at the Jags with the Trevor Lawrence. That's
I
a
only see
fun
him-
offense.
I only see him taking the USC job, and I only see him taking the Miami job.
He mentioned that he loved to coach at Michigan, too. He did mention that.
Yeah, but again, he's got a lot of health issues. I know what happened with Ohio State at the time kind of masked over it, but he does.
Yeah,
he's
well,
he's
shit,
only
now-
capable of coaching 2 or 3 years before he really burns out and it fucks with his health.
But everything that he was doing illegal at Ohio State, Whitmer just made legal.
I was
So
gonna
it
say-
really doesn't matter anymore.
That's
they
a
can
great
go sell
point.
their cleats, they can show
Wow.
up, they can get cars from boosters. I mean, they
yeah,
can.
I can pay
love
a
that. I
college
love that
athlete
move.
$500K a year just to wear something or do something stupid.
Right. You could have an Adam Brand T-shirt.
Hey man,
you got to build that
come
brand.
play for
Adam.
the University of Michigan. I'll give you $1 million on the side.
That's going to change the game completely.
Does that mean Amani Bates might play a year at State?
Who knows? Now that it's legal, shit, it's gonna hurt AAU. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because those AAU boosters are gonna go to colleges now.
Absolutely.
But let's not get too far into the college realm. So they interviewed Marvin Lewis. Who do you think is Marvin Lewis?
Marvin Lewis, you're right.
He's sorry, man. I'm getting messed up. So who do you think their next candidate that they bring in is going to be? Obviously, after today, the 49ers season is over, right?
Yep.
So Salah's immediately available. Is that the guy you're calling?
I really think that's who's going to end up being here.
Okay.
I think if you look at what we need, I think you need a Salah. As much as I love Bieniemy, I don't think he fits what we are as a roster and as an organization now. I think Salah signs a 6-7 year deal, let's say, in those first 2 years.
7 years.
You've got to pay and give that contract to whoever you're bringing in. You're bringing them into a bad situation.
No doubt.
That is no joke. They need to get similar to a John Gruden, Matt Rule contract.
Yep.
I would like
Because
Salah.
there are sexier jobs out there. You
This
have
is
to remember
not a
that.
desired destination. With not only with the
Deshaun-
city, but also our track record as an
Deshaun Watson,
organization.
franchise quarterback. Texans need a head coach. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, head coach needed. Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan, they're kind of going to rebuild, but there are better jobs out there than the Detroit Lions, given that the GM hasn't been.
The one thing I
named.
like about Saleh is, like, if you look at our past coaching history, let's just say for the past 10 years, we went like angry guy, then we went defensive guy, then we went offensive guy, and then we went rah-rah guy, then we went defensive guy. So we keep trying to switch it up. What I like with Saleh is it would be defensive guy to defensive guy. So at least we'd be trying to build some sort of identity and not jerking the chain all over the fucking road. That's what I hate.
Let's play some black and blue football,
to the locker room. Instant credibility and culture and respect across the whole organization.
And he's from Dearborn.
And that helps too. But again, if we can bring in a Dodds with a Robert Saleh, that's my dream scenario. Oh my goodness, the league will watch
Who
out
was
the
that?
next few
The
years.
first name?
Ed Dodds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from the Colts.
And, Director of Operations.
And John Schneider, how do you guys feel there?
Yeah, I mean, if we're moving on to the GM conversation, I love that.
He'll be second or third. He can be tied for second with Borgonzi. I love Dodds though.
But
Dodds
the problem is Schneider's raped the Lions so much for good players. Like, who's he got? Like, Seattle's not going to give us snacks. They're not going to give us Quandre Diggs.
True.
They're not going to give us who else went there?
Jamal Adams.
Averill went there.
Yeah,
I mean, and won a
sent a lot of
championship
talent
with them.
there.
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, Jamal Adams. So that's the thing. Like, he's used to taking advantage of teams like the Lions. When you come here, you can't take advantage of us anymore.
Yeah, he'd be third on my list. I'm happy with Borgonzi and Dodds. Dodds for sure the one though.
I got a comment here. What about bringing back Jim Schwartz?
No.
I don't hate that, but I don't love it either.
If he literally agrees to sign a 2-year deal and it's a transition deal, sure. But Jim Schwartz proved he can't be a sustainable head coach in the NFL. There are a lot of guys who are great coordinators, like Jim Schwartz, but they're not cut to be a head coach, although I think he was very key and vital to what ended up happening under Jim Caldwell with the consistent winning side.
Agreed.
So
for sure. He set the culture
deserves a lot of that credit. Yeah, that culture in that locker room was really built by Jim Schwartz, and it was, I don't want to say perfected, but tweaked slightly by Jim Caldwell with the professional respect aspect.
Yeah, he brought a lot of pride. They just were a little too all over the place.
Yeah, too undisciplined.
There was no
on the field.
structure.
It was just fiery, man. That handshake against Harbaugh, throwing the flag before you could ever throw the flag, so your flag becomes ineligible because he just couldn't wait 10 seconds for the dude to score a fucking touchdown.
He was definitely the most, I don't know, Wayne Fontes was pretty enjoyable to watch as a head coach, but those two were enjoyable to watch on the sidelines.
No, I loved it.
I think Saleh fits the bill for both, though. I think he can be our transition coach for the next season to 2 seasons, and then he can really take us to the next level, hopefully with the right GM in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I like that call.
Okay, so Saleh's our pick. I mean, if Bieniemy, Saleh, I think are the top 2 candidates.
Bieniemy comes, and I'll tell you why.
Because we don't have Pat Mahomes.
Well, not even that. We don't have the skill players that he's looking for. I think there are a lot of sexier destinations.
We have Jamal Agnew.
He's kind of a Hollywood NFL type guy. I feel like Bieniemy is kind of a Hollywood NFL type guy. He's always, whether he was playing, whether he was in broadcasting, or whether his position now.
Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, he's got so much
Shanahan.
attention. He's going to go to a top franchise.
He's going to go to a team
He's
that
going to go to
literally.
the Texans.
He
needs Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that would be a great move.
And
Deshaun Watson needs him.
Yeah, I think that's a great marriage for them.
That's a perfect marriage right there.
Or, no, he's not going to the Jags. I think whoever goes to the Jags, good luck. You're not going to be the coach that ends up winning with Trevor Lawrence when he's there.
Man.
We're giving away $1,000 today, and it's only if you guess who's going to score the first touchdown, the final score of the Lions-Vikings game, and share this, whatever platform that you're watching on. There's some other interesting games that are happening today. If you go to our Twitter, I tweeted this out earlier. There's some really mini playoff games today. There's 7 teams that are, if they win, they're in. And those teams are the Browns, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Bears.
That's wild.
The Bears. And then, if Washington loses, the winner of the Dallas Giants game goes to the fucking playoffs.
Can I say something? Isn't that crazy? So
terrible.
I want you to envision a world where the NFC East representation in the playoffs will be a 6-10 football team, whether it's the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Giants. I really hope the Washington football team loses just so I can see a 6-10 team host a playoff.
Right.
Host a playoff, not just make it host it.
Crazy.
That is, the NFL needs to rethink that.
But that is the only
league.
division in the NFL. I know I keep saying it. The only division in the NFL that each team on the in the division has won a Super Bowl.
So that gives them an excuse to be absolute dog shit
No,
for
I'm
a
just
couple
saying
seasons.
it's just funny to think about how shit they are.
Right.
But they've all managed to win Super Bowls.
I think the worst team I remember making it in was around 7-9. I can't remember a 6-10.
I believe 7-8-1 was another year. I think it was Seattle that year.
And then they won that game.
Yeah,
They won their
that
first.
was the Marshawn Lynch Beast Mode game.
Yeah, they won that.
I miss watching him.
Oh, dude.
The interviews were the best.
Dude, watching Marshawn Lynch just like in his daily life, drive around in golf carts, eat Skittles, and fuck with people is probably one of my favorite things to do on YouTube. If you're ever bored on YouTube or right after this, you got an hour before the Lions game, go look up some Marshawn Lynch videos. They're absolutely hysterical.
He's fantastic, dude.
Yeah, he's a character. He is definitely a character. So the games today, there's 3 games that I kind of wanted to focus on. Washington and Eagles. Literally, we're focusing on the NFC East today.
We're focusing on the games that matter for playoff implications.
Exactly.
Like you can't cover the Titans game because the Titans. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't cover the Colts game because the Colts need the Titans to lose. So it's all.
Right.
These are you win, you're in. It's that simple.
So Washington versus the Eagles. The Eagles are 4-point underdogs, and the over/under is 44. I was talking to Adam before this. Washington's slowly become like I root for them. Like I like Washington.
He's
for
biased.
some reason.
People don't listen to him.
I
He's
am biased. Like
he's just obsessed with himself and stroking himself because, to his credit, he nailed Terry McLaurin and he nailed Antonio Gibson in his draft. So
Wait a second.
beyond
Terry McLaurin fell into his lap in the 4th round. He passed on him for a few rounds. But Antonio Gibson.
nobody else drafted him.
Clearly,
True
you
that.
idiots didn't draft him, so I'm not going to sit here and call him an idiot because you guys passed him up in your draft. So
No, but really, besides my fantasy affiliation with them, I love the Ron Rivera story. I love the Jack Del Rio and Scott Turner and how they helped him while he was fighting cancer. You know, I have a soft spot with like cancer stories in my life because of my dad. And I love that Ron Rivera story. I love how this team has gotten better. I like their defense. They don't have shit for a quarterback besides, you know, they just let go of Haskins for throwing singles. You gotta love the Alex Smith story. You gotta love the Alex Smith
That's about all
story.
he can throw.
I think it's easy to root for the Washington.
And that's
team.
what I'm saying. Like
They don't have
just-
a name.
there's-
Ron Rivera.
They don't even have a fucking name. They're just like kind of the lovable losers. Like they're literally the bad news bears, and I've kind of grown affectionate to them this year for some reason.
I thought you were a Cowgirls fan.
No, he's a
fuck
Steelers
no.
fan.
Just a Dak fan.
No, he praises the Lions, and then he has the Steelers in his
Yeah,
side
Steelers-
pocket, and then in the back pocket, it's the Washington football
Steelers
team.
have always been my secondary team. I'm sure most Lions fan have their secondary team,
I
and
don't.
I've always wanted the Lions to be like the Steelers. I want that tradition.
Yeah.
I
Who
want that
doesn't, man?
tough-nosed football.
You know?
Right, but I get ripped on.
So personally, the NFC East is my most hated division in football. I hate all 4 of those teams.
Oh, you just hate the
I hate
teams?
all 4 of those teams.
Okay.
You know, Washington took a shit in our mouth. I've never liked the Giants. The Eagles, I still can't get over that loss. But I hate that whole division. But I kind of becoming a Giants fan, probably because of my Saquon affiliation.
Okay.
But I do not like Washington's trajectory right now. I think Jalen Hurts is going to put it on him.
Ooh, get your man.
I see Jalen Hurts getting murdered this week.
Oh man, how about this? This guy on the show the other day openly calls out, like, you know what, man? I'm not looking forward to Sunday's game because I feel like Jalen Hurts is gonna break his fucking leg.
It's just an inclination.
You can't do that.
Why can't I do that? Like, I'm not wishing it upon the guy. I've
I
just
just
seen
have
it
a strong
happen.
feeling that
Yes.
he's gonna snap his leg in 14 different places, and that's the end of Jalen Hurts.
There's got to be some sort of unwritten media rule on that one.
We're not media. We're the fucking internet. No, but honestly, like, we've seen this happen with quarterbacks who fall in love with their legs. And that's kind of what Jalen Hurts has done his first couple games. He's using his legs a lot. It reminds me of an RG3 situation. And obviously he's not as dynamic as RG3 was, but he just keeps using his legs more than he should. And say what you want about Washington, their defense is their strength. That defensive line are animals.
That's where Jalen Hurts has compensated for the Eagles' shitness that Carson couldn't.
Right.
Carson is not as mobile as Jalen Hurts, and look, he's thrown over 600 yards in his first 2 games. To his credit, he's played very well. I don't think he's going to get hurt. I hope not.
I hope not,
But
too.
I get your worry. Chase Young, that defensive line, those linebackers, they're coming for Jalen Hurts.
They're playing to
today.
get into the playoffs. Like, they know they need to beat the Eagles. Washington is going to play, like, to steal a Bevel term, with their hair on fire today, and it may cost Jalen Hurts his career.
It's amazing seeing 2 losing teams have this much intrigue playing each other in Week 17.
Right. Well, speaking of another two losing teams, the second game, this is pretty much reliant upon Washington because if Washington win or loses, this is essentially a playoff game. The Cowboys versus the Giants. You said you're leaning towards the Giants.
Yep.
I know Adam does because you love their defense, right?
I like their defense a lot, and I respect what Joe Judge has done. When he was initially hired, everybody criticized the organization. I'm not a fan of Gettleman. I think he's a shit GM. Having said that, I think Joe Judge has, stamped his philosophy on the defense at least. Maybe not the offense because he has a trash can quarterback. But
well, their offense has absolutely no rhyme or reason to it at all.
Yeah.
The fact that they've been able to win games and stay in them is a true testament to their defense.
Yeah, their defense is good.
Yeah,
it's good. Who would have thought a special teams coach could come in and have like one of the top defenses in the league?
And that's big for special team coaches out there in the NFL. It's like, hey man, look at Joe Judge. Granted, he hasn't accomplished anything, but you get what I mean. Like,
he's producing.
He's producing,
right.
But now these next 2-3 years he has to win, and he has to win over 9 games. He has to win a division, win some playoff games, or it's just a waste of time. Like, we're not here to just win 7, 8, 9 football games and accomplish nothing.
Right.
So, but I like, again, his first season, I like what he's done with that team considering how shit they've been.
So who do you got in this game, Cowboys or Giants? The Giants are 1.5-point dogs.
My brain tells me Giants, but I have this really horrible feeling in my stomach that somehow, someway, I'm going to have to wake up Monday morning and the fucking Cowboys are in the playoffs and it's going to be horrible.
I agree 100%. Cowboys are in the playoffs. That's the way the NFL likes to see shit.
So you think A, Washington is going to lose, and then B, that the Cowboys are going to win?
Yeah, and I hate it.
I
hate it, dude.
That's just my gut feeling, and I hope, God, I'm wrong.
What do you guys got for the over/under on the game? It's 44, just like the game before.
For Washington, for the Cowboys and the
Giants, yep.
I'll definitely take the over. That's low.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a pretty high-scoring game. I'd say 31-27. Cowboys edge it out. I think they're more dynamic on offense, and Daniel Jones is due for 7-8 interceptions.
They got a really good rookie wide receiver in Dallas that I think will have a big game.
You think CeeDee Lamb?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
know, man. Andy Dalton, you don't know.
Yeah, Michael Gallup was the boss last week.
Right, I was going to say, Dalton's a little different breed than Dak was. Like, when Dak was early in the season, you could tell he had his favorite targets and how the offense was going to play out. Dalton spreads it around. Like, one game, Amari Cooper has 147 yards. The next game, he has 2 catches.
Yeah.
One game, CeeDee Lamb has 8 catches. The next game, he has 1 reception. Like, I don't know. Andy Dalton is just a wily quarterback.
Yeah, you never know where the Red Rocket's going, but you do know that they can move the ball with him.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, and they do it well. I mean, that was... To me, there you go again, like signing a backup quarterback. We got Chase Daniel for the most money in the league. They got Andy Dalton.
I never understood that. Like, what the hell has Chase Daniel done to get that contract?
Whooped our ass last year. That's what
I
he
guess,
did. He
man.
whooped our ass
If I
last
remember
year.
correctly, one, not only was that a very horrible decision, but it also had cap implications. I believe you have to spend a certain amount in the NFL.
Okay.
And it was just easy to pay him instead of overpaying for a player maybe you needed,
But with
which
the
makes no sense to me.
and Dalton out there.
Again, that's why Bachman is fired. But
Yeah.
it makes no
Amen.
sense. It's idiotic.
Amen to that.
And then the last game that we want to focus on today, we got the Rams versus the Cardinals. The Rams are underdogs by 2.5 points.
As they should be. No Jared Goff.
Yeah, Goff with his thumb surgery. They're going to rely a lot on Cam Akers.
Yeah, and I learned the hard way in that one.
Not to rely on Cam Akers.
Don't do it. He's a little too young at this point. I think that Kyler's looked really good, and the Cardinals have definitely gotten better the last few weeks to end the season. So I'm going to go.
I think he hit it on the nail. The Cardinals are trending up, and the Rams are trending down. And that's a big part of Jared Goff playing like shit the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
Having said that, I trust the Rams defense more than anything out on the field today, not even the Cardinals offense. Man, that's a hard game. I still think the Cardinals win, but I'm going to pick the Rams. I think the Rams are going to frustrate Kyler Murray, and I think it's going to be a bad end of the season.
I
for
believe
the Cardinals.
Cooper Kupp's out with COVID as well. He's on the
Is
COVID
he?
list.
Fuck that. Cardinals are winning.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah.
I mean, you got don't count out Van Jefferson from Orchard Lake St.
No,
Mary.
we're
stepping
going to
into
count
that
out.
role.
We're going to count out Van Jefferson.
I'm counting out the quarterback, man. I
You're
mean,
counting out the quarterback?
Goff is weak enough, but at
No,
least
if Cooper Kupp was there, I trust McVay enough to operate that offense somewhat respectably, and I trust the defense. They're a top 5 defense in the NFL.
yeah, they're great.
But having said that, no Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
It's Robert Woods basically, and Cam Akers and Henderson.
Jefferson.
Like, what are we hanging our hats
Why is he
on?
talking Van Jefferson? I don't want you to like St.
Van
Mary.
Jefferson, we're not talking about.
Got
I'm
Gerald
sick of these
Everett
St.
out there.
Mary shout-outs every fucking show.
Well,
anyway,
you're going to hear him for a long time because they keep putting people in the NFL, baby.
I know.
You don't like it? Root for Crestwood.
who's the idiot that said Detroit? What's their name?
I don't know.
Fuck, the Detroit team. Castec. Castec's a shit program. Who's the idiot that said that?
That wasn't anybody on our network. That was
No,
somebody
sir.
on a
radio?
local radio station.
I can't believe that's actually. Oh my god, that's insane. We're talking about high school kids and we're shitting on them.
Yeah, well, people are stupid. So that takes us to what we think the Lions game is going to be like. Actually, I think the Cardinals are going to beat the Rams today. I like Kyler Murray once again, the way he's been trending. I thought he had some arm issues in the middle of the season, and you saw it. Like, for some reason, they stopped throwing the ball over 10 yards.
Yeah.
And you can see that progressively getting better.
Yep.
And now Kyler Murray's back to being Kyler Murray. So
Yeah,
I'm going to take the Cards. I'm going to take the over and just run it, baby.
Dude, Kyler single-handedly put my ass out of the Dynasty League, so
Ooh.
he's been playing well the last 2 weeks.
Pay that man his money.
Oh, I got some money for you today.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He beat me by .64, dude.
Ooh.
.64.
Why do we play? To win the game.
In fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy.
Third place.
Anyways.
That's all right. So Lions projections from today. What do you guys thinking the game's going to look like? Well, I mean, the Lions are, they're dogs by 3.5 points to the Vikings, which I think is pretty favorable. And the over-under for this game is 53.5.
Yep.
So what are we looking at? Let's get your projections, Anson.
I think neither team can stop anybody, right, at this point in the season. If Stafford stays in the game all 4 quarters, I think that he'll be able to put plenty of points up. I think the Vikings are just a better team. Without Dalvin Cook, it's going to be a little different, but I still think that they beat the Lions in a possible trap game, because you know that if the Lions ever win a damn game, it's week 17 when they shouldn't win. Every year they do it, so if there's ever been a trap, it's this one, but I'm still pulling the Vikings 34-23 over the Lions.
So, Adam, I got to ask you, when he says trap game, is that how you feel when I say St. Mary's? Because if it is, then I'm going to stop saying St. Mary's.
No. I don't mind you saying St. Mary's for the whole goddamn show. This whole trap shit, we've been doing this for 17 weeks now.
17 weeks
I'm
of
so tired
trap.
of this shit. And not only am I sick of that shit, I am sick of him jinxing picks. Not only does this guy get it totally wrong in trap games, he picks things that... Whenever he picks something, it happens the opposite, and that's what's going to hurt me, because I don't want the Lions to win today. I don't want Matthew Stafford to play. I don't think it's worth risking. Having said that, I think it's actually under. I don't think either team scores that much. I think it's an ugly game. I think both teams play conservatively. I got the red. I want to pick the Lions, man. Fuck. God damn it,
You can see the wheels turning too.
Fucking guy jinxes
gotta
my
do it.
picks every goddamn week. I gotta go with the Vikings. 24-21. It's an ugly game.
24-21,
Yeah.
you
So you
like
got
it?
the under.
Oh, big time under.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
So I feel like I'm going to watch this game. In my head, it's going to be slow motion of Matthew Stafford and Sarah McLachlan playing in the background.
Chariots of Fire playing.
Remember you. Touchdown to TJ Hawkinson. We're all going to have a tear. After the game, Stafford's going to be like, you know what? This was my last game as a Detroit
He
Lion.
can't say that. He's
That's
still
why
under
I wanted-
contract.
He can say whatever he
say
wants,
that.
all right? But that's just like, I'm honestly, I'm going to watch Stafford and enjoy Stafford, because whether it is or it isn't, it could be.
To his
right?
point, I guess I'll watch it in a similar way, but I've always watched Matthew Stafford and appreciated what we've had. I think he's been a franchise quarterback for the 12 years he's been here. I hope to see him for year 13 and maybe 14. Fucking guy. Anyways, I don't think this is Stafford's last game. I don't think.
You don't think so?
I don't think the organization put themselves in a position for it to be the last game. You don't see anybody having speculation on, there's this young talent behind Matthew Stafford. Is this the offseason they move him? I think it's impossible. If they do move him, it's for a big cap hit, and they're taking next season because they can't sign anybody in the offseason if they get rid of Stafford. So we'll see.
Joey, you've been quiet pretty much this whole pregame show. You know Kelly Stafford pretty well. Can you text her and find out what Stafford's plans are for the future?
I do. I just want to find out, why is he good enough to play today? Because you see all the
He's a tough
injuries that
son of a bitch.
he is tough.
He
but
is.
It's like you always see all these. I mean, we see the injuries he's going through. It makes me so frustrated to see that he's playing, and then everybody's saying he's only playing because this is his last game in Detroit.
I know.
That's gonna
I don't
hurt
believe
me.
it.
If it's
Text
this
Kelly
year-
and find out. Be like, Kelly, we need
if
some
this is
inside
his
scoop
last
on this.
game, I'll be so upset
Will you?
because not only one, I appreciate the guy, but two, man, if he leaves, we're left with nothing.
Careful what you wish for,
well,
man.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Sure.
We did not plan in advance for what is going to come in the next 2 seasons. His contract's running up in 2. I'd rather him start next season, ride it out, and hand the baton the following, and he can be traded or he can go on. We can release him, whatever the case may be. He's earned that, but if he's not lining up in a Lions uniform week 1 of next season, I would be shocked.
Okay.
I'd be surprised as well. I did hear that he sold his house. That's true, right?
I
So
don't
the
know.
seller's market, but I don't know if it's
True.
seller's market.
It is. It is.
But you don't sell your house unless you plan on moving.
Well, or at least putting yourself in a position to be able to move.
Right.
You know.
Or you're just leveraging it against the organization. I don't know. I don't
No,
know
I don't
what's
think he's
going
that
into
kind
it.
of guy.
No,
I think they've already had the talk. I think they're waiting to announce the GM, and when the GM comes in, he'll be
It'll
like,
be
here's
up to
my
him.
plan, Matthew. I want to draft a quarterback in the first round if I can get him. I'm happy to shop you this offseason. Just ride with him. If I have to get him in the 3rd or 4th round, I'm going to expect you to be here next year, suit up for the 16 games, and ride with us for that 1 season, and I'll let you go play your last 2 or 3 years, however long you end up having in Indianapolis or if the hell he ends up in.
Now, Adam, you just touched on it there. Matt Stafford has earned the right to really have his own consideration going into the decision.
Yeah, he should. He should be honored
Absolutely.
like that.
That's
Yeah,
an
for sure.
employee
What-
working. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, because I got something that's a little off point, but I want to make it before we get off the air here in 6 minutes. So go
Okay,
ahead.
no, I was saying that's an employee who's given you a chunk of his life. He's played through. He's worked when he shouldn't have,
Right.
and he didn't have to, and the team was playing for nothing, and he still showed up. I think he's earned that right to Anson's point.
Yeah, and to everybody who watches this, and I've heard people comment on this, if the Lions win today, it's not a bad thing. Like, people are, oh, you're screwing up their draft position. It's all about where we draft.
Is it a
It's
good
like,
There's a
thing, though?
balance
you
on
fucking
this.
pumpkins.
Yeah.
It's not about where you draft. It's about who you draft. Like, if you want to argue with me that drafting Aaron Donald below Eric Ebron was about where we drafted, you're stupid. If you want to say that Mitch Trubisky being the number 2 over Deshaun Watson, it was better for the Bears, you're stupid.
Still
So
better to
quit-
pick higher than low.
can I
It's
go to
not, though. It's not always better to pick higher than
Can I
low.
touch
It's
on your
not.
point, though?
Jamarcus Russell, tell me it's better to pick better than number 1 overall.
No.
Ryan Leaf,
He's
there
right.
we go. Like,
he's very right on
this
this.
shit drives me nuts,
But there's a
man.
balance. It's not that extreme. Having said that,
Everything I say is extreme.
I know.
He's so calm and collected today. You
Well,
are out
no,
of
I'm not-
control today. I love it.
Because I'm fired up, it could be Matt Stafford's
Fanatic.
last game.
Listen, guys, you have to understand this. Let's say we're projected at 7 right now. Let's say we lose, and we bump to 5. If bumping to 5 means Justin Fields, like in the mock drafts that these experts
That he's there?
have, is he's going to fall to 5 or 7? Like, I'd rather have Justin Fields with
This
that
is a
pick.
huge
But
game.
having said that, I'm not going to sit here and root for the team to lose
Yeah.
just for a higher draft pick because I've seen us draft Ebron over Darnold. And again, I want to see the GM. I'm going to trust, like Troy Weaver.
Yeah.
I trust Troy
Thank you,
Weaver taking
Troy.
Hayes at 7, Isaiah Stewart at 15, Sadiq Bey at, I believe,
16?
19, I believe, or 18.
something like that.
Wow,
Whatever
Bey.
it was, I want to see the GM in place before I sit here and go on a rant. But I think there's a balance. I think it's important where you pick. But if you're going to sit there every year and say, oh, well, the season's over, fuck it. No. You're there for a reason because you've missed on your draft picks the seasons prior.
Right.
So we haven't learned anything from drafting in the top 5 for the last 10 years.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So I don't care where we draft. I just want us to get the pick right. That's all. That's all.
Thank you. I think that's the biggest thing. Hit on your fucking first round pick, and your
It
fortunes will
takes care of
change.
itself, right?
100%.
So my projection for today, I believe the Lions are going to win. I think they're going to ball out. I'm going to go 35-27.
Wow.
High-scoring game. Stafford's going to come out, do his thing. Hawkinson's going to move up. He's going to be the number 2 rated tight end by the end of the season in fantasy football.
He's a great draft pick.
I think.
Yes. And they
think
hit on him, damn
Hit
it.
on him.
if we win, I think that Cephas, your boy, has a huge game today.
Quintez Cephas, let's go, baby. Next year's your year, especially if we don't sign Golladay.
I kind of had a question for you both. Who are the guys that are most valuable to the team on both sides of the ball going in next year? Obviously,
Tavai.
Swift we can. Swift we don't have to talk about. We're all excited about him.
Yeah.
Cephas is another one.
If we're talking skill positions, yeah, I like Cephas going into next year. But to me, honestly, it's all about, our defensive line. If we can get some of those young guys.
Who are you excited about that we're bringing back in defense?
I'm not excited about anybody. There's just a couple guys there that I would like to see perform better, and I know can perform better. But nobody that I'm like,
me neither.
Nobody that has me Swift level excited on defense.
I agree with Stick. Nobody has me beyond excited other than Swift. But what I will say is next year I expect a totally different Jeff Okudah, and I expect a healthy Jeff Okudah.
Okay. Yeah.
He needs to step up because I'm very angry with him right now. And it's not his fault. I'm angry with Bob Quinn's dumbass for picking 3.
Right.
Like, that blows my mind. We could have gotten Surtain at 7 this year, and I would have been happy, but our dumbasses drafted him at 3. Having said that, I don't want to.
Well, no, I was actually thinking about both of them. You have Okudah here and Surtain here, and then we start the trick, no-fly zone defense.
Hey!
I like it.
Yes.
Get identity, baby.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, nobody's really excited me. It's got to be Hawk, Swift on the offensive side of the ball.
Romeo Aquara, someone mentioned.
Aquara is about the only guy I like on the defensive side.
I think he has a good ceiling, though.
Yeah.
It's more than what we anticipated.
Yeah, he exceeded expectations for sure.
So we got about an hour before Lions game day. Make sure you got an hour now to get your guesses in. Who's going to score the first touchdown? The final score of the Lions versus the Vikings, and make sure you share this on whatever platform you're on. Because if you guess right, you get $1,000, and we give that away pretty much on Monday. So make sure that you get your guesses in now. You have one more hour to do so, and let's all sit back and watch
the Lions. And if it helps you guys, the
last
last time we gave away $1,000, it was to the person who guessed Dalvin Cook and the score.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
that's right.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
How's your dog?
He's great.
Yeah?
He's great. We can go hang out after this with the dog if you want.
And watch.
His name is Woodward. We call him Woody for short. I got him from the Detroit Dog Rescue. And I'll put some pictures up on my Instagram today. It's at Stick Radio if you guys want to check out the dog.
So we're watching Stafford's last game as a Lion with Woody.
With Woody,
Please no.
yeah.
I don't think it's his last game either, Adam.
All right. Go Lions. Have a great game day, Detroit.